Yo, what's going on, everybody? So, today I wanted to hop on here and tell you guys a story. And I want to share a story today that, I'll be honest, it's pretty embarrassing. It's funny, but embarrassing. So, I want to tell you about how a very desperate Tinder hookup turned into me living for a month with, the fate that I had caught herpes. And, there was even a doctor involved, a shit doctor, but, we'll get to that. Now, this story takes place back in like 2017 when Tinder was still popping. I was on a family vacation down in South Carolina on Hilton Head. And now, maybe a month before this vacation, I had just broken up with my ex girlfriend. I was ready to get back into the game. But obviously, being on vacation in like a foreign nation, I wasn't looking for anything serious. I was just hoping for like a one night thing, or maybe best case scenario, hanging out with somebody a few times that week that I was going to be down there. And getting down to Hilton Head, my family drove. So, what I did to pass time on the drive was I set my location to where I was going, trying to match with some ladies, get some shit set up for when I arrived. But I knew there was a couple roadblocks. One, I was with my family. I was going to be in a shared hotel suite thing. Like I had my own room, but everything else was shared, and there was this big ass heavy hotel door. It's not going to be very convenient to sneak in and out through that. Also, I had no whip, so whoever I was going to meet would have to be very close to my hotel, like walking distance, and they're going to have their own place because there's ain't no way I'm bringing them into my family hotel room. So anyways, I set my radius on this app. I get a few matches, but they're pretty stale. But then this one girl, me and her, we start talking. She's pretty attractive, She's like a blonde girl, looks to be a southern girl, a southern belle, you might say. She's what she looks hot. And her pics are her like surfing, smoking weed, walking her dog, a very traditional white girl Tinder profile, which right up my alley. And it turns out she lived on the island. She was staying at her grandma's condo or something. She would come every single summer when she was off of school. And all she had to do was like drive her grandma around a few days a week. But she was telling me like she basically has this place to herself all the time because her grandma goes down to this old age place where all her friends are and they play like bridge all day or something and get meals. So it was perfect. And the conversation, after a while, it even started to get a little greasy. She was talking about how it's hot that I'm not from the country and she wanted to smoke weed and like skinny dip at night. She even like is saying to me like, how do I say this? I'm trying to find like a humorous innuendo, but I can't really find one. Basically, we're talking about fucking on the beach. Hilton Head has like this dope ass beach at night. It's super cool. And she's like, I know this spot where we can kind of like tuck away out of sight. We can skinny dip and then you can like hit it from behind. And I'm getting these messages just like lying in the back of this minivan filled with my family, rock hard. It was a greasy setup. I'm like zooming in on her pictures, getting like insanely hyped. Her ass went crazy. She was like way out of my league. It was unbelievable, like way out of my league. But I still had a whole ass day, first of all, left on this drive, and I knew once I got down there was no way, like, once we got there, I could just dip immediately. Like, see ya. But that's what I wanted to do, but I knew my mom would be like pissed, right? Like I knew there was going to be at minimum a 24 to 48 hour settle in period where we were going to have to, do things as a family before I'd be able to dip off alone. So I was looking at like 3 days until I could see this girl. And while waiting, getting all these messages and stuff, I think I must have jerked off just to the thought of hooking up with her probably like 5 times in a period of 2 days. It was absurd. And no, not in the van. I'm not a heathen. I mean, like at night in my private room at the hotels, But regardless, time was going by exceedingly slow. And you could only like sext someone for like so long. I mean, on day 3 of like constant flirtatiousness and risque photos, the conversation is really starting to drag. Not on my end. I mean, I was like all in. I would have spent my life talking to this girl, but obviously she began to lose interest, it seemed, and my time was dwindling. I had very limited time to meet this girl IRL and wow her because in my head it was like a done deal. I was like, well, once we hook up, she's obviously going to fall in love. We'll spend the week together, and I'm either going to have to break her heart or I'm going to move down here forever. But, anyways, now it's been 3 days of talking, and she wants to meet up that night. But my parents had made like a reservation at this seafood place that they saw on TV. My mom was excited for a family dinner and shit. I knew I was cooked. Like, there was no getting out of that. And I also knew if I didn't meet this girl tonight, like, for sure some other guy would, and I'd probably lose my chance. Like, she was getting impatient. And of course, I think the last message I sent her was like, fuck, I can't tonight. I have this stupid dinner, but what about tomorrow? I'm free like all day. And I sent that at like 4 p.m. And I'm pretty sure I checked my phone like literally every 2 minutes to see if she responded for like 10 hours. And she didn't. I mean, I was logging into the Tinder app being like, like maybe the notifications are glitched and it's just like not coming to my home screen. But of course, it wasn't. I'm checking to see if my message even delivered. It had. So I was devastated. And the next day, I followed up like 3 times in desperation, and she just unmatched me. I was pissed, like my dreams were crushed. My hopes had been like through the roof, and I was expecting this to be the best week of my life, like smoking weed, chilling on a beach, skinny dipping, hooking up with this 10 out of 10 surfer girl. Like, I was like, I'm going to marry her, probably. And sitting on this balcony now, depressed, of this hotel at like 7 p.m., I'm drinking Bud Lights, eating hot Cheetos, and the guy in the room next door, I can't see him, but I can hear him. And he's like not on the balcony. I think he just has his door open, right? And the rooms were on this like weird angle where each one was slightly set back, separated by a wall. So like everyone had privacy, but I could hear him clear as day. And he's speaking as loud as I am right now, and he's on the phone with an escort service. So I'm literally listening to this guy like selecting what type of hooker he wants and giving them directions to the hotel. He's like some southern guy, and he keeps just being like, well, I don't mind. I don't mind blonde, brunette, anything. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. She can be heavier set. She eventually like even shows up, and I know this just because I can still hear Buddy on the phone being like, yeah, I see the headlights. I'll come down. Just come around to the gate. I'll let you in. And I sit there and wait a while because I'm like, there's no way, I'm not going to listen to this. I was very curious about the interaction, and honestly, I was jealous. So this hooker comes into his hotel room, and, I can tell by her voice, like, I'm not very good at doing a woman's voice, but she was a thick southern lady. And the dude's just like, yeah, baby, it's been a long week. I've been driving my back sore. It's been a long week. Can I get you anything? And he starts like moaning, and it was getting a little too greasy for me to keep listening. And I was about to walk inside, but then I hear her say like, are you sure, honey, you want all my weight? You want me to just walk across you? He's like, yeah, baby, walk on me. Just, I just get on my back, walk across me. So he's getting this like thick ass hooker to walk barefoot just across him. And I keep listening for like 2 more minutes, but then it started getting, it was getting way too real. I felt weird. Plus, I was pissed off. I was just like jealous as fuck of this guy. I wanted a thick hooker to come walk on me. So, anyways, I know this story seems like it's all over the place, but I swear it's building up to something, which is, it's ironic because that was exactly what was happening to me this entire week. I was building up. This was a pure test of like my sexual fortitude, and I was failing miserably. So I'm laying in bed now, just like thinking about this dude next door with a hooker, and I was like, man, I gotta get back on Tinder. There's gotta be someone else around here. Well, sure enough, I had matched previously with this profile earlier in the week that I just kind of ignored. But now that I was like in a desperate state, I was like reassessing, and I was like, a lot of red flags, but fuck it. I mean, it was a pictureless profile. It was kind of weird. There was only one photo of people, and it was like a group shot. It was like 2 girls, 2 dudes. One of the girls was like very skinny, average, not really my thing. The other girl was like this chubby, like, well, actually more like fat blonde girl, which honestly, not opposed. And not even like considering that it could be the skinny lames profile. I just assumed it's got to be the biggin. Anyways, in her profile, it literally says, on vacation, looking to have fun, DTF. And this, like, for sure should stop any rational man dead in their tracks. If a girl's profile says DTF, I mean, there's no bigger red flag. But obviously, I'm no rational man. So this was a green light for me. I hit her up without even like clarifying who the fuck, which person it was in the photo. And the conversation is ass. I was in like no mood to drag this out again. So I'm like, oh, where on the beach are you staying? What are you doing right now? And she was like, I'm only 4 resorts down from you. I could walk there at the time. And she said her and a few friends were on the beach drinking. And I was just like, bet, I'm on my way. I start walking down this beach. It's like, first of all, it was a gorgeous night. I'm praying in my head. I'm like, please let it be the heavy blonde girl. Please let it be her and not the skinny lame. And like, talk about fucking awkward, because I mean, showing up to this group of like 5 random people on the beach, just like a couple of dudes and some girls, and all of them just like staring at me like, I don't even know if I have the right people. I'm just like, yo, sup? I'm the Tinder guy. I was talking with Janie, and everyone's kind of just like quiet, but I can see them shift and they're all looking at this like heavier set blonde girl. And I was like, fuck yes. So we chill there for a bit. We have some beers. The group is, I get on their good side. I'm just like asking questions, showing interest in them. The night is kind of dragging. I'm starting to get concerned that getting like, we're getting near the time that if my parents didn't fall asleep, they're going to be like, did this guy drown in the ocean? Like I left there at like 9:30 and I'm waiting for this girl to take the lead, like, are we getting out of here? Are we going to get down and dirty right here on the beach? Where are these random friends of hers going to go? Like, what's the deal? What's happening? And we end up chilling on this beach at this bonfire till like 1:30 in the morning. And they're feeding me beers and weed and shit. So I wasn't complaining, but I was like checking my phone relentlessly, just like desperate to get this show on the road, because I genuinely had zero explanation for if my parents hit me up. Like I had been gone for so long at this point. But finally, this girl's like talking about being cold, and she's like, oh, I got to go up, to my room to get a sweater or something, and you should come with me. And I was like, here we go. So we go out to her room. It's a nice Airbnb on the beach. And there's always like that really awkward 5 to 10 minute period of time, like making small talk and like maybe getting a water. Somebody's going to the washroom trying to figure out how the fuck to initiate this shit, at a one night stand. But eventually we started fooling around on the couch. Now, I mentioned she was like, a larger woman, or as a man would say, a real woman. So she was a bit difficult to maneuver, and at one point she even got on my lap and it fucking almost killed me. But I was very about it in the moment. And I'm not going to get too graphic here, but let's just say she ended up having one of those like fat girl shelf asses, and once I was behind that thing, it was basically a wrap. Now, after everything was said and done, I tried to kind of like split immediately because I'm still stressing about answering to my family. Like, what the fuck was I doing? I mean, again, it's now 2:45 in like the morning. I left at 9:30. I really have no excuse as to where I am. Like, I'm on a family vacation. It's the middle of the night. I left the hotel. I have no whip. So I wasn't even remembering or realizing the fact that, like, even if I go in and somebody wakes up, I'm going to reek of bonfire, weed, beer, and pussy. But somehow I pulled it off. I mean, I snuck back in there at like 3 or 3:30 in the morning. I got away with it. I was astounded. In the morning, I was just like waiting for somebody to say something, but they never did. The remainder of the vacation like goes by. I fish a lot. I swim. I never talk to that girl again. But now we skip about a month into the future. I'm back home now, and this is, where the story really takes quite a turn. So I'm working my sprinkler job. It's very laborious. I'm digging trenches all day. And there was this heat wave in Toronto or something. It was so fucking hot this one week. And I had completely run out of shorts to wear. They were all dirty. So I decided to work this day in the blistering heat under the sun in these tight ass blue jeans. And near the end of the day, I'm noticing that like my dick is fucking itchy, like extremely itchy and super sensitive. Like, when your thighs chafe together and it burns like a motherfucker? It was like that, but to the extreme. I could hardly walk. And when I got home, I could like finally do an inspection of what the hell was going on. And it was like, it was fucked. I can't even describe it. Like, I was actually terrified. I had to call the doctor basically right there. I took the next day off work and I go in, I'm thinking it's like the worst heat rash I had ever seen in my life. And I'm not going to go into detail, but it looked like I had been hit with fucking acid. It was crazy. It was either a heat rash or, my dick was about to fall off. And the doctor comes in and takes like one look and just fucking blindsides me. She's just like, "Oh yeah, that's not a heat rash, that's herpes." And just like proceeds to talk about what I can do to calm it down. And like didn't like the fact that I didn't just get stunned, that I have this uncurable STD that I'm going to have to live with and bring up for the remainder of my life. I was in awe. I was like speechless. And she's like, "Well, we'll get a test done. We'll swab it and take it to the lab to confirm it, but I'm almost positive that you're HSV positive." Like she's like so casual about it, and she's trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal. My ride home that day is just me angry and sad. I'm like rage crying. I'm like tearing up, yelling, just out of my mind. My mind is racing, and I'm like, "Oh my God, that fucking bitch in Hilton Head." The DTF in her bio. I knew it. I knew it had to be too good to be true. What the fuck was I thinking? I'm like losing my shit, right? And I looked her up back on Tinder later that day. She had unmatched me, deleted her profile, something. So I was like, this fucking bitch. I now proceed to live for like an entire month in just this completely depressed, my sex life is over, distraught state. Just a terrible mood. And I'm waiting and waiting for the doctor to call me because they said it'd be like 2 weeks, right? But by week 4, I had gotten no word. Nobody called me. So I call them. And the nurse practitioner speaks to me, and she's like, "Oh, oops, we forgot to give you a call. Your doctor's actually on vacation, but, I can give you the results now if you want." I'm like, "Yes, tell me, please." And she's like, "Well, it's nothing to worry about. Turns out it's just a really bad heat rash. It should go away if it hasn't already. And hope you have a good day." And I was just like speechless. I didn't know if I should get mad or just be, happy. It was a fucking roller coaster of emotions. But anyways, that's the story on how, this horny ass week turned into a potentially life altering down bad Tinder hookup. So, word of advice, if you see a girl's bio and it looks risky as fuck, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Anyways, if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Peace.